integrated vehicle fluids. This is a ULA-based proprietary technology that we're looking at doing some testing and assessment of the technology to see if it's applicable for the Space Launch Systems exploration upper stage. We're doing testing and analysis and modeling to see if it could save potentially a few thousand pounds up mass for the SLS program.
So essentially what you're saying is if eCryos is successful, that eventually we'll have a lean, mean spaceflight machine.
Yeah, we're trying to get as efficient as we can with our fluid management. The whole eCryo project is trying to understand how fluids operate in a microgravity environment.
One of the things that Hans also said is they're trying to get this technology to the point where they can actually test it in space, because once you know that the technology actually works in flight, then it can be a part of every NASA mission coming down the line. And that's really the goal of these technology demonstration missions.
And just like Hans said...
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, forgot. I gotta mention this because Hans, my twin brother, actually told me that I needed to be sure that I made this point. Okay, I made the point in the interview. It's ridiculous. NASA's explicitly not involved in cryogenic research of that kind. It's ridiculous. But then last night, I was thinking when I couldn't sleep, I was like, eCryo, think about it in sci-fi, never a good idea. Not once do you watch a sci-fi movie where they have cryogenic sleep and you think, man, that's technology we need. It's always problematic, right? So not only does NASA not do it, but it's not even really helpful in the sci-fi community, right?
Continuing on. So if you remember in his interview with Hans, eCryo has a bunch of smaller projects that are kind of under the umbrella of eCryo.
That's true. That is true.
And one of them is called Shiver. And I had a chance to talk with Monica Guzik, the lead engineer for Shiver. And the cool thing about this, we had a chance to go out to the Plum facility, which is about an hour from Gwen, in a building called B2, where they had a thermal vac chamber. So Monica, shivers. Every time I hear that, I get cold. What's that all about?
Well, we did that on purpose.
Okay.
We're dealing with very cold stuff. We're actually dealing with cryogenic liquids. But SHIVER stands for Structural Heat Intercept Insulation and Vibration Evaluation Rig.
Okay, that's a mouthful, so you're gonna have to explain that to me.
So what's going on here is we've got, liquid rocket propellant tanks, and they're cryogenic, which means really, really cold. And we're storing cold liquids. So what happens when you have a cold liquid is anytime you get heat in, you start boiling it off, just like water on a stove.
Okay.
For us, boiling off is not a good thing because that means that we're losing fuel. Imagine trying to go drive to California with a leaky fuel tank and no gas stations in between. You're never gonna get there.
Okay.
We have the same situation, so we're trying to plug that leak by preventing the heat from coming in.
And what are you using to prevent that leak?
So we're doing it two things, and that's right in the name. We're using structural heat interception, which means that we're actually cooling the structures. These tanks have to be held up by something, and they're attached to really hot parts of the spacecraft. So we're trying to cool those attachment points so that we reduce the heat coming through them. We're also using insulation to try to prevent radiation that's coming in from the surrounding space environment.
So now what kind of materials do you use to insulate the tank?
What we're using primarily is called multi-layer insulation, or MLI. So once you're in orbit, you don't have air or anything hitting it. Your primary source of heat is what we call radiation. Radiation is heat coming in from a really hot source and kind of transmitting from that source to a surface. We prevent that by using highly reflective sheets. You can think of it as almost like a mirror. They're reflecting that heat away and preventing that heat from getting in. So we have layers of what we call mylar, which is actually just a type of really, really thin plastic. And we coat them with aluminum or some other reflective material on both sides. And they end up looking a lot like really, really thin tin foil. And we layer these up and we separate each layer by something that doesn't conduct a lot of heat and is really lightweight. And it actually looks like the veil material that a bride would have on her wedding day.
I guess what you got to determine is how thick that insulation is around the tanks?
The more layers you add, the less heat can get in, but that means you're also adding more material, which is more mass.
So there's a trade-off.
There's a mass trade, because mass is money when we launch. So we're trying to save mass without adding too much.
I mean, I can only imagine when the launch vehicle is taking off from the pad, it's shaking, it's vibrating. I mean, there's a chance that material can come off.
Yes, there is.
So do you have to do testing to make sure it stays on, or?
Yes, we do. And that's the vibration. The VER part of it is the vibration evaluation that we're looking at. So what we're going to do first is we're going to test here in this B2 chamber.
So this is a thermal vac?
This is a thermal vacuum chamber. It's called B2. And so here we can test very large. We've actually tested full rocket stages here before, and it actually is capable of live firing rockets. Although we're not going to do that here. We're going to keep everything from burning up.
So how do you actually do a thermal test? If I put your simulated tank in here, You got to close the door somehow. And so how do you heat up the temperature so it's in space conditions?
Right. So one thing that's funny is since we're so cold, actually just the temperature at right now will heat up the tank.
Oh, wow.
So when we talk about it, we're going to take this tank, we're going to close it, and you can sort of see the top of what we call a cryo shroud behind me. And what we do is we can run either liquid or gaseous nitrogen through the tubes that are embedded in the shroud. And those tubes we can set so that there's a certain temperature that mimics what we'd encounter in a space environment. And it may, in fact, be colder than the air around us right now, but it's still very, very warm compared to the liquid in that tank.
You're not really worried about the thermal test on launch, though, right?
Right.
This is more of in transit.
Yes.
Okay, but
yes.
then on launch, you're worried about vibrations, acoustic noise, things of that.
So once we do our first thermal test and we see how does it perform, you know, when we know it's working, when it's good, it hasn't shook or anything, we're going to take it over to our facility called the Reverberant Vibroacoustic Test Facility. And we put it in there, and there's a whole bunch of what look like big speakers on the wall, and they can emit vibration sounds, acoustic sounds, to the levels that we'd encounter in launch.
And that would be typical for the launch vehicle that it's going up on.
Exactly. Yes, and we actually have some of those launch profiles already, and we're going to use those when we do our testing with the Shiver tank.
I tell you what, it seems like Shiver is an extremely important program for the journey to Mars, because if we want to send humans to Mars one day, we don't want to boil off, we don't want to lose the propellant. And so really you have a critical role in making sure that there's enough propellant to get to your destination.
Definitely, yes. You can imagine if you were trying to go somewhere and you run out of fuel halfway there. It's bad enough if you're in the middle of nowhere, you know, in the country, but it's really bad if you're in the middle of space on the way to Mars. So you definitely need to make sure you have fuel in the tank there and back.
So as I was processing this interview with Monica, as I was looking at it, as I was evaluating, I kept thinking with this idea of boil off, this kind of cold, kind of boiling in space kind of temperatures, I was thinking, well, that doesn't make sense to me because water like boils at 100 degrees Celsius, and that's like hot, right? So that's hot, it's very hot, but it's very cold in space. So I'm wondering, how are things boiling off in space? Is there something on the spacecraft that's so hot? I may have missed it. She may have addressed it, but I'm just curious if you dealt with this.
Different liquids have different boiling points. So just like you said with water boils at 100 degrees Celsius or 212 degrees Fahrenheit, right? So we're talking about cryogenic fuels. We're talking about really cold temperatures, you know, in the minus 300 to 400 degrees range, right? So it doesn't take very much to boil those liquids off. So if you have something a little bit warmer than that, it could boil off.
So warmer is a relative term, warmer than that extremely cold. So from going from extremely cold to just slightly less extremely cold equals boil off.
This is where the multi-layer insulation comes in, because you have to make sure that you maintain that temperature inside the tank so that you don't get that boil off.
And so you just keep like slapping layer after layer after layer after layer after layer on there until you get that sucker nice and, you know, comfortable, so there's no uncomfortable boil off. So, okay, I got it. Now that's interesting, right? That's a total interesting topic. Here's another question, because I'm wondering if you're curious like I am. Have you ever wondered, especially if we're talking about fuels, you ever seen the ISS when the astronauts are up there and they've got the little water droplets and they're floating around and everything? And it's cool, right? It's fascinating. If you ever wondered, what happens to the fuel in the tank? When it's full, I get it. You know, there's no room for anything to move around, but as you start to use that fuel, does it turn into little globs and start floating around inside the tank? Does that happen? Is that possible?
That's a great question.
Exactly, which is exactly the question I brought up with our good friend Greg Zimmerly, who's actually working on a technology to find out how to measure fuel inside a tank when it is floating around inside there. Let's check it out.
All right, welcome to the What Was That channel. It is Tuesday, June 20th, 2017, and I am broadcasting to you live on this Tuesday evening around 9:30. Let's see. I'm just going to go ahead and do an audio test. It seems that my audio is not so jacked up anymore. The OBS is running smoothly. I'm going to go ahead and test it out real quick. Give me 1 second. Alright, it seems to be working properly. I'm just going to go ahead and make sure all my parameters are set, and we can go ahead and start the broadcast. Turn the volume down on these guys. All right. Close my dashboard down. All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone to the What Was That channel. where we take a look at various random, well, not so random lately, various material, all in the hopes to find us something that'll make us say, what was that? All right, I wanted to start out with some news. I finally have seen the sun after a long time. It was actually very clear today. It was really nice, and what was really nice is I didn't see any chemtrails in this cloud, in the clouds, and the sky was pretty clean. All right, go ahead and stop these guys. I wonder if they like me broad. It's my tax money, our tax money. Close out of this. I'm gonna make that small. And for anyone who doesn't know, tomorrow begins the summer solstice of 2017. It will be the longest day of the year. No, it's not. Let's see, is it? Facts know about the longest day of the year. It's also the first day of summer. Let's see here. The sun will be at its highest point in the sky at solar noon on the 21st. Pretty darn interesting. I am no astronomer. I don't claim to be. I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but will not get me to pass any astronomy classes. I just want to put that out there in case anyone has any information they can add to these summer solstices that could possibly lead me on the trail to find something that'll say, what was that? Let's see. What else do we have here? I also wanted to take a look at all the storms brewing down south here. We have Tropical Storm Cindy to bring heavy rain, flooding along Gulf Coast. Again, Cindy. Tropical Storm Brett for the Atlantic. Greenland gets tsunami. That's not really our coast, but nonetheless, it's still news for the weather. Yeah, looks like Cindy is really going to be an issue down there. All this flooding, this heat. Pretty crazy. I'm up in the Northeast and I have not had any crazy weather yet. We just have our classic storms. Lightning, thunder. Nothing like these yet, but again, it's not also storm season yet for us for that real hot weather come August. Let me see here. Severe thunderstorms, including large hail and isolated tornadoes, possible in the Midwest throughout midweek. And that's usually normal for them, but still, you don't want to. I don't want anyone to have any bad storms happen to them. And what we have here next for what I found pretty interesting is where I live, you do see the trails in the sky, and then you'll have clouds for the next couple days. And then today I noticed there was none today whatsoever, and it was absolutely beautiful. Coincidence? I don't know. But it made me say, what was that? I will tell you that. Which leads me to a next video, which comes from a What Was That channel affiliate. This is the Nicholas Cabal channel, and I'm going to be showing what he took was some video of some heavy chemtrailing. And you can see. I'm going to go ahead and make sure the audio works before I even play this, so I don't mess around. Let's see. Get this prepped here. And what you'll notice in this video is Nicholas counts a massive number of chemtrails just in his area. Let's go ahead and start this.
Sky don't look normal. I mean, there's some puffy clouds, but like, look at that. fucking sad, man. Look, there's there, now right there. It's gonna come out of the cloud, watch. Oh shit, the sun's too bright right here. Watch, it's gonna come out of the clouds unless it turned. I can't believe this though. Look at the sky over there. That don't look normal. Look at that. It's like all mist. Oh, there you go.
All right, I'm gonna get some mic
What the
action
hell, man?
going.
They're making Father's Day shitty.
Yeah, look at that.
Oh, today everyone's gonna be outside with their fathers, so let's just spray the sky more.
Look at that. This is what I see around my house. Some days it'll be perfect. You'll see jets flying, and there's no trails behind them.
Why don't we just spray
Other days,
Father's Day?
not so much.
Assholes. Look at that. That don't look normal at all. That.
Yeah.
Crazy. Can't believe it.
What a great video. This video is just a perfect representation of what's happening. You can see it.
Look at that. You can see those chemtrails clearly.
The engine cut out right there.
There's chemtrails everywhere today. There's one between those clouds. One right there. 3 of them above me. 2 of them right there.
Let's get a count. They're just endless.
I can't believe today they're spraying this much. I've never seen it sprayed this much where I'm at. Look at that. That don't look normal. Neither does that. And that definitely don't look normal. Look at that. Look at all this lines in the sky over there. What the hell, man? I hate this. I don't know why they gotta keep spraying
This is
around.
crazy.
Well, it is their job, but I don't know. This shit's just ridiculous.
I saw upwards of what, I don't know, what looked like 12 to a little more than that, just in that little area. I gotta let's see if I can get my computer to work. Oh, there we go. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and close a couple tabs out. I don't want my computer to run by any means bad here. Were we watching? Oh yeah, that was the intro. I think we're done with this. We can go back and pick on NASA in a little bit, which we are going to. We will be. This is the What Was That channel, where we take a look at various material, all in the hopes of finding something that makes us say, what was that? On my expedition to find such material, I find it easy to watch NASA stuff, and they're like my go-to source for stuff. So if I do use a lot of that stuff, it's only because that it's easy and it's right there, and it's authentic because it's recorded and it's theirs, you know. That's where I use amateur footage or other stuff. All right, so we just watched a video from Nicholas Kabbalah channel, a What Was That channel affiliate, providing an awesome look into the weather manipulation happening down in Florida. Could this be what's causing this stuff? Adding to it, maybe? I mean, I don't know. There's clearly something going on. But it seems they'll just cover it with the NASA cover story. Oh, we're just spraying barium, strontium, and cupric oxide just to track the highest atmosphere patterns, you know, for science. So it makes it okay. I have my little my little lab coat, so you have to believe me. All these weather patterns, specifically down here. I don't know. Just pretty interesting. Go and close that out. Let's see here. What else did I want to talk about in the news in the beginning here? Oh yeah, this is pretty interesting. I did not know this, that Yellowstone seems to be having some volcanic activity. This is pretty interesting. I just want to check my audio. I do not want to mess around with that. It's just easier to check now than talk for 10 minutes with no audio. So forgive me. I apologize if I'm just getting set up, but I want good audio for everyone. Let's see here. All right, my audio does seem to be working. All right, cool. All right, so it seems as though Yellowstone has been hit by a swarm of more than 400 mini quakes. Wow. 8 hours ago, another newspaper company reporting massive amounts of mini quakes, all happening around Yellowstone. Is there a problem going on? I don't know. There has also been speculation that the Sophia Air Observatory, owned by NASA, has been spotted using flight trackers flying in the patterns of Yellowstone. Are they using Sophia to track differences in, like, track volcanic activity, monitor it? I'm not sure. It's hard to say. All this information comes from them. They own everything. They're monopolized. They own all the special equipment, all the special this, all the special that. So it's really hard to say exactly what's happening. But when I see a lot of newspapers reporting on the same thing, even in the UK they're reporting on it. I don't know. I'm just gonna go ahead and check the chat, make sure that's up and running, in case anyone wants to tell me I'm doing a horrible job. Oh, my chat is working. Wesley, what's going on? I'm glad my audio is working. I hope you... No, not at all, Wesley. I'm not mad at you. There'd be no reason for me to be. I have been just working diligently on trying to keep up with... trying to keep this page professional. Keeping my info going. I'm sick of the audio problems. The Google Hangouts was kind of a pain for me. I felt the screen share was just awful for what I was trying to do. And the OBS here lets me have much more flexibility with like my content here. I can search on another monitor and drag it over to this one. And again, I'm still what, five streams in. It's pretty difficult. I always say my hats are off to these YouTubers that make these awesome channels happen. I never knew it was that crazy to do. Let's see here. More than 4. I'm gonna go in. I just want to see what they're saying here. What are these quakes rated at? Are they in a central location? Oh, look at this news article. Great. Going to Newsweek. Magnitude 3 earthquake. So that's some action. Magnitude 3. Yeah, that's definitely some precursor.
I'm getting no.
Yeah, OBS is the best. What is this?
Nobody does it better.
also into oil painting. Look.
Oh, close that. I closed that on accident. That's all right. All right, I'm going to go on anyways. And if anyone doesn't know about the SOFIA, SOFIA is a airborne observatory that the people of the United States have paid for NASA to use. It is an aircraft that has, they can actually outfit it with different lenses and telescopes and stuff. Let me try to find a little picture here. There it is, right here. They open up this door and boom, this thing sees better than Hubble. They will admit that. This jet right here will see better than the Hubble telescope. They admit it. And the Hubble telescope is outside of our atmosphere. It's pretty interesting. Like I said before, I'm no genius, but this thing sees better than the Hubble. I'm gonna go ahead and say, what was that? Because that's ridiculous. So again, reports of seeing SOFIA going around Yellowstone, possibly observing the volcanic activity that's happening. I don't live out here on the west coast, or, you know, not west coast, but you know what I mean, on this side over here. So I don't know the true news stories, if it's really happening, if it's not. They could just tell me it's real over here and we believe it. All right, let's see what else we got here. All right, that wraps up pretty much my weather stuff and news for us. I want to, because if anyone knows anything about geology and this stuff's happening, if you have any info, you can throw it in and maybe we can escalate this to some better knowledge. All right. All right, let's see here. I wanted to get into some, let's see if we can watch this. I figured this would be pretty good. I haven't watched this yet, so we'll try to skip through it. It's 18 minutes, but I'm sure they're usually pretty fun. This is the space station crew member discusses life in the space station with Georgia students. All right, let's see here. Make sure the audio's good before I go and roll this beautiful bean footage. Alright, I'm going to turn my mic down a little bit because I am notorious for interrupting, and I will interrupt the entire time. So I'm going to turn my mic down a little bit.
We're ready for the event.
In Fayette County Public Library, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Astronaut Jack Fisher, this is Eric Maxwell from the Fayette County, Georgia Public Library. How do you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. How do you hear me?
I hear you wonderful. Welcome!
Woo! How's everybody doing today?
We are doing great, and we are so excited to speak with you live from the International Space Center. We have 20 students who are eager to
I
ask
just can't
questions.
resist.
And first up,
I already can't handle this.
Gloucester.
Will you go to Mars, and how long will you stay in space?
Okay, I already can't handle this. I'm just going back. I want this kid's name.
Who are eager to ask questions. And first up, we have Orion Gloucester.
Orion Gloucester. Okay, this kid's what, in 5th or 6th grade? Let's see. Let's see the question he's got prepped for this.
Will you go to Mars, and how long will you stay in space?
Oh, predictive programming. They've been talking about Mars forever now. Little Orion.
first off-
Orion. And what are they going to use to go to Mars? The Orion, the Orion spacecraft. So it's just, coincidence that they use a kid's name that's Orion to talk about the Mars mission, which uses the Orion spacecraft. Okay.
If that's a great name, that's actually the name of our vehicle that's going to take people
look
to
at that.
Mars. I think I'm going to be a little bit too old, but the class that we just selected and you guys, your generation, are going to be the ones that are going to go to Mars. Right now, our engines are a little bit slow, so it takes about 6 months to get there, and then you'd stay there a year, a little over a year, and come back 6 months. So it's 2.5 to almost 3 years that you would be gone from home. If we can develop a little bit faster engines, we'll get there and back a lot quicker, and more people can
faster
go.
engines at your
I'm
expense.
excited to
And this is just
help
one
make all the
drain
infrastructure so
in
that your generation
the
can do
taxpayers'
exploring.
like flow.
Thank you. Hey, next we have Musa Zigley.
What cool things do you see in space that you do not see in Earth?
All right. Okay. Now, this kid asked an amazing question. What things do you see in space that you don't see on Earth? The first thing you see in space that you don't see on Earth is Earth itself. Okay? Now, are they going to show this kid Earth? I'm going to go ahead and say they're not going to take that little camera and they're not going to turn it out the window. They're not going to do anything with it because it's, a TV studio.
Oh my gosh, it's almost everything. When you look outside, it's great because you get to see the Earth. It is so...
So why don't you just show me instead of, this is a what? A $3 million conversation right now for this 20 minutes?
Beautiful. The stars.
Wow.
Peggy and I,
I'm using
during
my
a night pass the other
imagination,
day, actually saw
my
a
imagination to
galaxy
see
with
what the
naked
Earth's
eye.
like when you
So
could
what
just point that
see is
camera out the
great, and then
window.
how everything behaves. I brought something for you. Even a slinky, just an ordinary slinky, it becomes almost alive in space. The way everything behaves, from your coffee to slinkies to everything, I brought something for you. And then how everything, the stars, more like normal, pulling down by gravity, then some people get congestion. We can even have vision problems because there's so much blood in your head, it kind of squishes the eyeball. Other people get, an upset stomach, or, their head kind of spins. I was lucky I didn't have any of those things, but you also have to learn how to fly, and you tend to run into things. So I have plenty of bumps from not doing so good at that at the start. And you got to get used to losing things because they just float away if they're not strapped down. So those are the biggest things that you need to get used to.
Great. All right, next on the mic we have Janiyah Greer.
Would you like to go to the moon?
Oh man, would I? That would be so cool. I think that the Apollo astronauts just scratched the surface with that program, and I think there's so much more we could learn. The moon's kind of like a time capsule for our solar system, and we could learn so much, and there's so many resources there. And if we can go back, then we can build up.
Oh my God.
Great, thanks. Okay, Madeline Martin.
Look at him exploiting these kids.
How long can you breathe in space with your oxygen tank?
That's a good question. So when we go outside on a spacewalk, we're in basically
I used to be one of these kids. Man, I would have loved to ask them questions. Now,
around 7 hours, maybe more, maybe less. It depends.
What's everyone think? Let me see here. I forget the chat's going. I'm sure nobody's really in here, but it's cool.
Or something goes wrong with your main system that can last about 30 minutes.
Great, okay. Nevaeh Bradley.
What do you eat? Is there a certain diet?
There isn't. There probably should be, because I probably am not eating the best stuff. But we tend to try to avoid sodium because it's kind of bad for us and how we rehab when we get back on the ground. And then we need to focus on vitamin D, so we have to have that or we'll have a lot of bone loss. But most of the food is pretty darn good. And if it's not, you can just squirt some hot sauce on it, and then it's even better.
Thank you. All right, next we have Naraya Bradley.
Have you seen a shooting star? If you have, what does it look like up close?
Well, if we
they're
saw
in
it
the
up close,
firmament.
it'd be kind of a bad day. When we see it, actually, Peggy and I saw one just the other day out of the cupola, our big set of windows, and it looked pretty much the same as it does on the ground. So you
let's
see
fast
the big
forward
fiery
here.
clean, and it's so that's so you can go. Actually, don't. It's pretty good. You just to the state with the operations, like working as a Capcom, the person in mission control who.
Is it true that time is slower in space?
As you. Oxygen generation.
I know that I personally, as far as everyone here, wants to thank you so much for. Good job. Exciting.
And I think we made that expectation. We thank you so. You're great.
No flip.
Well, again, thank you. And you want to hear another huge shout out? Let's hear it.
I bet he actually can hear that because he's not up there.
Very excited. 400 water. We so appreciate everything. Outside, Jack,
for time with us.
Huge team trying to fold them. See, so they did high, be kind of a way.
You sleep
When we get back on the ground. And then we need to focus on.
I noticed in a lot of the new videos, they don't look at the objects they're holding.
But most of the food is
in the old ones, they do. Alright, I didn't see anything crazy in that. We're gonna close that down. Alright, that was a dud. That was a dud. There was nothing in that. But I do have some other stuff we can take a look at. I wanted to save the best for last because this is the What Was That channel, where we try to find things that make us say, what was that? Alright. What are we in? What's my broadcast time here? I was thinking about keeping it around an hour. I think that's 37 minutes in. Alright, great. Alright, I'm going to check my audio because I always have problems with it. Give me 1 second here. You may hear nothing. You may hear my TV in the background. Alright, seems to be working fine. Alright, cool. Alright, let's see here. What did I want to show you guys? Or show everybody? Alright. We are going to be talking about STS mission safety. When you are traveling at speeds of upwards of 17,500 miles an hour, safety is of the utmost concern. Alright? You have suits. You have deployment systems, oxygen systems, systems for this, systems for that. Okay, let's check this out. This is just a one of the STS missions. They're going to be launching. They're going to be launching, and if you notice, their helmets have nice padded headrests. You actually see they're double layered. One part back here, and another part up here, providing support so that the helmet you're wearing doesn't rip your head off when you're accelerating or decelerating. Alright. So let's watch this thing rock and roll. And of course they have support for their head, right? So that it doesn't break off, just like you do in your car. Alright, but re-entry. Now re-entering the atmosphere. Going 17,000 miles an hour. All right, so going 17,000 miles an hour, re-entering the atmosphere, you'll see the flames start to shoot up over the orbiter. And these flames are upwards of 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is molecules of air rushing over the orbiter, slowing it down, heating up. Friction, like when you stick your hand out the window, you feel it pushing against it. Imagine going thousands and thousands of miles an hour. It would rip it off or incinerate it. And what you have here is no support. What happens if you turn or roll? This guy's head's going to snap off with the weight of a helmet on it. Nobody can withstand that type of G's. Alright, let's go and play this.
Go ahead, take my picture. I'm in mine. I've got
It's like a foot behind here.
Oh, okay. Things aren't floating. No, they sure aren't. No.
So they're re-entering the atmosphere, and you can see the flashes of it happening.
Awesome.
And it doesn't shake. It doesn't do anything. It's actually smoother than my Volkswagen on the highway. It's quite crazy. Here we go. Look at it. I don't know what that was, but it was expensive. See? No neck support. This person either. So they went from having neck support to not having it. Alright. Now you might be saying, well, they're only re-entering the atmosphere. They're not even going that fast. Well, let's take a look at something. Let's take a look at another video here. So you got these guys prepping. They're just prepping. Just gonna check my audio here. All right.
Copy that.
All right. Showtime. Let's see these guys enter the atmosphere. Okay. And just so we're clear, so everyone knows, the orbiter is this guy right here. Just the hypersonic reentry vehicle. Alright. You can get speeds upwards of 17,500 miles an hour. Reentry speeds near 17,500 miles an hour. I want you to just think about that. Think about when you're going 50 down the road, what it sounds like, what it feels like. Now these people are doing 17,500 miles an hour. Okay? Pushing against a dense atmosphere, slowing it down. No shaking, no vibrations.
There you go. My salt, I got a little more water.
Just hold the camera, no big deal. No neck support again. You can see it right here. You can see right through the window behind him. There's no support for his neck. Going 17,000 miles an hour. A lot of us have been on a roller coaster. We know what it feels like to go 40 on a roller coaster. This roller coaster is going 17,449 miles an hour faster than most roller coasters you go on. But they're going to sell you that it really happened.
That flashing?
Like, look at this. It's not even shaking. I mean, come on.
Get the camera around over to that. Some more. Oh,
Look.
And 19.2. Over. Yeah. Don't like it. Or night.
And if they're flying this thing,
okay.
Why do they have every book known to man in the windshield? Look, they got it all blocked. We're gonna fly this thing with so you just put papers and stuff in your windshield when you drive, you know. Cool. Okay. So again, no neck supports. You know, your neck will rip off. Now, check this out. Here's a NASCAR driver. These guys are only going, you know, about 200 miles an hour. So again, 17,300 miles an hour less than what the orbiters are going when it re-enters the atmosphere. And look at this seat this person's in. You not only have lateral support for your helmet so it doesn't rip your head off your body, you also have what do you call it? Horizontal support, lateral? I don't know. Yeah, for the entire body. You're in a whole seat. Let's take another look at NASCAR seats. Safety. Okay. Let's take a look here. That's a horrible, horrible image. I apologize. Let's get a better one. Yeah, look at these seats. Look at these. This is what they sit in. Look at the amount of padding just to support them at 200 miles an hour. Okay. Now, we got these people. Look, they're literally, it's orange, so that means they're entering the atmosphere. So they're starting to slow down. So what are they at? 12,000 miles an hour? And it's perfectly smooth. Incredibly impressive. Let's see. Here's another good here's another goodie. So they're gonna put
it's
their
really important when you're preparing for the deorb.
I'm just curious of why they have to put this suit on. Okay. So it's a compression suit with a pressurized outer garment. So it's 2 layers. It squeezes their legs so they don't lose consciousness, and then it pressurizes around them. All right.
Orbit burn, that you secure everything.
I don't understand why they wear them and just leave.
Everything was pretty secure on the flight deck. You know, I
The
confess a
hood's
little
up.
bit.
Okay, so they're entering the atmosphere and they don't even need to seal the suit up. Maybe because it just pressure or squeezes the appendages to keep the blood up in the brain, and they don't need that. I don't know. I would have mine locked in. Maybe not. I don't know.
Earlier to being somewhat nervous or
But
anxious about.
the big thing, no neck supports. So they're whipping around at 17,000 miles an hour, and they got no neck supports. And then you have NASCAR drivers with this stuff. Look at these seats. Look what they're in. You don't move. These guys got floppy neck syndrome. Crazy. Let's see. Let's do another one. I went through just a few of these. Just a few. All this helmet technology, and they don't even use it. It's not even closed. That probably was like, I at least bet that was $20,000. Taxpayer paid. Probably cost like $8.99 to make.
Pretty fast, and last up 10 ready to atmosphere and to the ground. And when we start eating the atmosphere, you see all the results of the eating of the pretty fast. And
Yep, there it is. 17,000 miles an hour. It's not even ergonomically correct near you. I see someone with an open hand. They all got open hands. What is this? I mean, this is just garbage. It's just simply garbage. What do they got? Parachutes? What are you going to jump out of it? Like, come on.
And Commander,
at the 25 knots, where you got the shootout again right away. Again, Bones did a great.
I mean, it's just simply amazing. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. So what you're telling me is NASCAR drivers have seats like this. Look at the head support for going 200 miles an hour. So a NASCAR driver goes 200 miles an hour, gets a seat like this. These guys are re-entering at 17,000 miles an hour and slowing down. So they're decelerating, okay, in the orbiter as it enters. And they got no neck support? Seriously? No neck support. One turn, one roll, one bump. Your neck's breaking off with an 8-pound helmet on it. Same thing here.
On the other side, we're now on the right bank.
We don't need neck support. We don't need a Hans device.
So then
Look, you can see right behind this guy's neck. There's nothing. And let's confirm. I'm just going to type in NASCAR Hans device. Hans device right here. What's the Hans device for? The Hans device is a head and neck support device, also known as a head restraint. It is a safety item compulsory in many car racing sports. It reduces the likelihood of head and neck injuries, such as basal skull fracture in the event of a crash. What it does is stop your head from ripping forward. It basically locks it in. You know, they're just slowing down in the event of a crash. I'm not saying they're crashing, but these people are going from 17,500 miles an hour down to a regular cruising speed of, I don't know, 200 to 300 miles an hour. And they have nothing. I mean, I have a motorcycle, so I know what, like, G-forces are. And what's the point of the suit if you don't need gloves, pressure, like, the helmet can be open, no gloves. Is it just to squeeze your appendages to keep the blood to your brain so you don't go unconscious? I don't know. Pretty interesting. You'd think for a procedure they'd be all locked down. But they're not. Again, here you go. Another STS mission. Alright, so they're entering the atmosphere at 17,000 miles an hour. Right? Watch how smooth this thing is. 17,000 miles an hour. You actually see the flames start to happen above the nose.
Yep, gravity's.
And watch the vibration.
Man, we're in a fireball. Let me see. I'll let you aim it.
So they're going through the atmosphere. There's a fireball all the way around them. No deceleration, no nothing. You get a little camera float by.
Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Out the overhead window, I'm looking through a mirror, and I can see the plasma just building and collapsing in a bright white flash down the middle of the vehicle.
So here you go again. Here's what's gold with NASA for me. So instead of showing you, he's just gonna describe it.
Let's get that on. We're getting a bright pink white glow around the whole front of the vehicle now.
Wow. So they've had a little handy cam floating around this thing, and there's no footage of it. You just get this garbage looking out the front. Right? Right. Nobody questions it. It's cool. Don't worry about it. No. Everything NASA tells you is a description. Let's see. We just saw it with Jack when he literally did a live interview from space one day ago with Georgia students. And he literally described, the kids ask what one of the nicest things to see in space when you're not on Earth is. And he described what it's like to see the Earth. Why don't you just take your cool $1 million camera that you charge the taxpayers for and pop it right out the window and show everyone instead of describing it? Because that's all NASA is, descriptions. No facts. All descriptions. All descriptions all the time. Well, it's like a blue... Why don't you just stick the camera out the window and, you know, we'll put our own comments on it. But they don't. They just wear no neck restraint systems. Coming in at 17,500 miles an hour. See? Here too. The only video I found neck restraints, yep, is on. And I know they have them. They just don't put them back on. Right here. Let's see if I can find it.
The International Space Station. The shuttle already traveling more than 200 miles per hour.
At this point, we're rocking and rolling.
At least they make it shake and vibrate like it kind of looks like they're going. And they have the dull. You can see the better headrests.
The shuttle solid booster rockets are firing, and there's a fair amount of shake going on. That continues for about 2 minutes until the booster rockets separate with a bang and a flash that you'll see right there. And now the space shuttle main engines continue to carry us uphill for about another 6.5 minutes, and the ride gets a lot smoother. There, the booster rockets are falling away to be used again. When the main engines flame out, we fly formation on the external tank, which Chris is about to snap pictures of. We fly formation on it for a while, and then we fly our orbiter, maneuvering rockets to get us into a stable orbit.
I'm just looking at the fact that they don't use neck restraint systems like this coming in. So they're entering the atmosphere at 17,000 miles an hour with no neck restraint systems. I'd like to thank everyone watching out there. This is the What Was That channel, where I seemingly... It's easy to pick on NASA, that's why I go through their footage. This is specifically not a Flat Earth channel, but NASA's easy picking, so I kind of do it all the time. And it's such a touchy subject, everyone gets very upset, and I kind of like that. I'm not gonna lie. How's everyone out there tonight? Time Q, how you doing? Let's see here. What else did I have? I didn't really have too much. I was going to do about an hour broadcast, and it seems to be that my info fit in around there, but if anyone has anything else they want to look at, I'm going to go explore some stuff randomly on here. But again, NASCAR drivers, completely locked into their seat. Their helmets attached to the seat. They're attached to the seat. They have lateral bracing, all kidney supports for going 200 miles an hour. Now, these people are in the orbiter, which is a hypersonic reentry aircraft, going 17,000 miles an hour and decelerating down to 200. And they have no neck support. Look, this guy, the camera's right behind him. Where's his neck support? That's a what, a 5-pound helmet, 10-pound helmet? Imagine slowing down, or turning, or rolling, anything. Your head would rip off. And where's the vibration?
18.5. Hey, cars back. Back in.
Where is the vibrations? Oh, see that light in the background? That means they're really in space.
0.6 on the G.
Look at that. Nothing to protect their head or anything. It's crazy. It just goes to show you, let's see. This goes hand in hand with this. STS-8 mission. Oh. NASA. I'll take this.
Motions were between the night of the launch. Unfortunately, you can't see when it was a little bit of
So let's see.
Vibration in the cockpit. The SRBs lit off and it became very bright, as you can see right here. It was.
So what you see is this guy's hand. You don't even need the special helmet that they're wearing. Trying to sell you on.
Just like
They're selling you space. That you need this special pressurized helmet. You can see his neck. You can see that his hand's not even covered. But here they're gonna sell you all this. Look, you have to have it locked in and stuff, and we don't even close it. You know? Just simply amazing. Gets me upset. Again, all these helmets, all these super special helmets in suits doing nothing because they're not closed. What good is a submarine if you leave one of the doors open? None. Water's gonna get in. Just crazy. And you'd think they'd have the suit closed for any type of systems malfunction or oxygen malfunction with the aircraft entering the atmosphere, but no, they don't. They're not worried. See, they don't even care. You know why they don't care? Because they're on a 3D ride at like Universal Studios, like the Back to the Future ride I went on when I was a kid. Completely tricks your mind into thinking like you're accelerating or braking or turning when you're literally just sitting there and they're taking advantage of your perceptions. Oh, it's all these people are doing, taking advantage of your perceptions. They never expected us now to have computers to be able to pause and rewind and zoom and all that stuff. Never. Never. Like this time, they never expected us to have this stuff.
cockpit, and all during first stage.
Look, how come this guy's like all shaking around with these? I mean, it's just simply incredible.
Everything look good over there on SM, Heidi?
Everything's looking good.
Thanks. My bank season up a little, roll in a little bit more now.
Literally ridiculous. Let me see if I can find that Jack's interview. This really kind of upset me. Right here.
Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for...
There's so much, and there's so many resources there. We go out...
Nevaeh Bradley.
If you have, what does it look like up?
Alright, let me get my audio set so you can hear this video. What this little girl asks Jack. It's the same story every single time. Let's get the audio up here. Alright, ready?
Thank you. All right, next we have Nevaeh Bradley.
Have you seen a shooting star? If you have, what does it look like up close?
Oops, I apologize. That is the wrong
well, if we saw it up
wrong
close,
one.
it... to just help make all the infrastructure so that your generation can do the exploring.
Thank you.
We're in basically a lot eating the best stuff.
I am trying to find a piece of footage. I don't want to tell you what it is because then it'll get rid of it.
Ever get sick since they should
be germs up here? Generally, there are 4 big things. We're
Great, thanks. Great, thanks.
So that we can get to Mars even basically maybe more, maybe.
What do you eat? Is there a certain
No,
diet?
that's not the one I wanted.
We are doing great, and we are so
Name of ours.
I apologize.
What cool things do you see in space that you do not see in Earth?
Boom, there it is. Wine.
What cool things do you see in space that you do not see in Earth?
Alright, so what cool things do you see in space that you do not see on Earth is the question, okay? Alright. Now, listen to the response. Tell me if this is acceptable for NASA.
Oh my gosh, it's almost everything. You know, when you look outside, it's great because you get to see the Earth. It is so beautiful. The stars. Peggy and I during...
There you go. What did we just get? A description. What is the ISS? It is the most technologically advanced piece of mechanical equipment humans have ever built, right? They're using a camera. Why don't they take that little camera and point it out the window? Because they can't. That's why.
A night path. Gosh,
all you get is descriptions. All descriptions.
Oh my god.
The only way you can get a visual of space is when you imagine it inside your own head.
Gosh, it's almost everything. You know, when you look outside, it's great because you get to see the Earth. It is so beautiful.
Show us.
The stars. Peggy and I,
you see the stars.
A night pass the other day, actually saw a galaxy with the naked eye. So what you see is great, and then how everything behaves.
So the Apollo missions, they say you can't see the stars.
Even
Jack says you can.
Just an ordinary, because you get to
show me outside.
Slinky.
They'll never pick up that little camera. They'll go grab any other little thing to show you and spin it around and do flips and stuff, but they'll never take that camera and point it out a window. Why? Because they're on a movie set. It's the fourth wall, whatever they call it. You have one wall here, 2 walls here, third, and then the one you never see behind. That's why. I mean, it's simple. That's all.
An ordinary. Oh my gosh, it's almost.
So here you go. Here's NASA. This is how they're gonna blow these kids' minds away with science and all this stuff. When asked, what's it like? What do you like? Listen to this again.
What cool things do you see in space that you do not see in Earth?
Oh my gosh, it's almost everything. You know, when you look outside, it's great because you get to see the Earth. It is so beautiful.
Yeah, you can. You can see it because I'm seeing it not on a screen. You're just telling me that you see it. Like, it's ridiculous.
Beautiful. The stars. Peggy and I, during a night pass the other day, actually saw a galaxy with the naked eye. So
You saw a galaxy with the naked eye. Wow. That is incredible. Yet he'll never zoom in on you on Earth, waving up there in live time or any of that stuff. They'll never do it. They won't point down. They'll be like, "Oh, kids of Georgia school, there you are. That's what's cool." He'll just describe it to you. He'll describe what it'll look like to you. So you have to use your imagination, which is the single best computer in the world, your brain. Don't let people tell you that it's not. They'll try to trick you into not thinking that it's great, but it is. These people are no more intelligent than you. In fact, they're not. We're all the same. Same brains. They're just using theirs for evil.
See is great, and then how everything behaves. I brought something. Used to.
Nothing. Same view.
Astronaut, you really.
Nothing. They won't pick the camera up. Do nothing. Just. Oh, what do we got here? I actually want to see this. Whoa!
Hello, Jack.
Whoa!
He has flipped out. Whoa! Good job. We're very excited.
Can't watch any more of this. Does anyone have any
that you're here.
topics that they want to take a look at? I am by no means a professional in any area, but I believe I have good discernment and can pick out like wrong stuff. I can be tricked. I'm not perfect.
Jack, we were.
Let's see here. Post-flight.
Opening the, looking at.
Okay, this is Bill and I, and also Pam, working carefully and slowly. Earlier, I felt it was difficult.
Work to got it in his hands there. He's attached to the robot
I don't
arm
exactly
and
know what I'm
assisting
looking
him
for in
in
this video.
restraint. We tempstoed
I'm gonna
that
turn the audio down on it so I can have my mic back.
This was the part that we were most
One of the big things I've been looking at is if you notice when these guys are messing around with stuff, they actually have to look at it.
Bill and I, and also Pam,
Like when they're holding stuff or flipping it, they actually have to look at it in the new videos, because supposedly they're using 3D imaging or whatever they're using. They have to look at a screen, kind of like the weatherman has to look off camera at what he's doing. It seems these quote-unquote astronauts also are doing the same thing. They don't actually look at the item they're holding or moving around. They're looking at the screen off camera, and you can tell that pre this 3D stuff they're using, they actually had to use some sort of different zero-G manipulation, and you could see they were actually looking at an object with their eyes. Now they look like off camera the whole time. I'm going to check my audio, and while I do that, I'd like to welcome everyone to the What Was That channel, where I take a look at various material in the hopes to find something that makes me say, what was that? I do look a lot of NASA stuff because it is authentic video. This is high quality video paid for by the US taxpayers. It's authentic. This came from NASA, you know what I mean? They can't argue it as amateur. They can't argue it as, you know, any of that stuff. It's authentic footage. And flat Earth and all this stuff seems to be a hot topic right now. So I love getting people's blood boiling because you have an opinion or you dare ask questions about where your tax money goes or any of that stuff, which we all have the right to do. I get to ask questions, especially when these people don't have to have like clearly head restraints on when they're coming in at 17,000 miles an hour. Let's see here. What else do we want to take a look at? I do want to see Yellowstone volcanic activity. I can't spell. Don't look at my screen at the moment. All right. So it seems to be this whole area. They're not going to give us any good information. I don't even trust their government web pages. It's probably all lies. It is all lies. I'm going to put my mic on mute for 1 second. I just want to adjust some stuff on my desk and not have a ton of noise come through for everyone to hear. So I'm just going to put my mic on mute for 1 second. All right, I am back. All right. On a previous episode of the What Was That channel, I had looked into basalt columns, and these have been plaguing me for the last couple nights. Columns here. First, let's do this for anyone who's not familiar with basalt columns. It's a natural formation of lava cooling that allows this to happen. This hot lava is hotter and moves faster than other kinds. As it cools from the bottom up and from the center outward, long fractures form columns that at times take on astoundingly clear-cut hexagons. The whole process is called columnar jointing. Wow. Okay, so let's take a look at what lava creates. These columns. These are pretty interesting. So this lava, let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna use, okay, so this flowy stuff like this flowy material, because it's really hot, makes that. It makes this. These beautiful formations. It really makes this. Is what I would say if I believed it, but I don't. So lava, like this, all flowy, makes this stuff. Perfect hexagons. Right, right. Oh, here's a hexagon, here's a hexagon, here's a hexagon, here's a hexagon. Just kidding. So you go from lava to this. But I also, we kept, on the previous episode, we were thinking there was some sort of cell. But I studied a lot of anatomy and physiology. And I went through one of my books to see if there were any type of cells or anything like that. And I saw what if it's like these? You have fascicles, kind of like telephone cables, all bundled, all bundled, all bundled. And then they finally, these small bundles are bundled in bigger bundles, which are bundled in larger bundles inside a massive bundle. And you can see they're all bundled together, kind of like a telephone cable. What if these basalt columns are some sort of fibrous tissue? You know? It just so happened to cool properly that these formed. Or is it some sort of, you know, joint with a fibrous tissue in between? I don't know. Just very compelling. A lot of questions to be unanswered. Most science is theory. And there's nothing wrong with questioning stuff. They'll tell you that there's something wrong with it. How dare you question something that's a theory? How dare you? Oh, here's another picture. Go ahead and click on this. Yeah, here you have the vasicles. And then the individual muscle fiber. All inside there. Let's see. This is Devil's Mountain. Devil's Mountain, Colorado, is a basalt column in the middle of the desert. There you go. And what you'll see is it's all basalt. And around the bottom, hasn't fallen off yet. There's some sort of material still around the bottom. Now let's see if we do this. Muscle to joint connection. What if these are all muscle fibers attaching to the rough part of bone? Tuberosities, that's what they're called. The tuberosities. So it's where the muscle attaches to the bone. And what if that's what you have here? Some sort of joint with the connective tissue attaching. Again, I don't know. This is all speculation. I'm by no means a scientist of any kind. I'm just using my discernment. I have a hard time believing that these basalt columns, right here, this basalt, all right here, perfect hexagon, six-sided hexagon, all this was made from lava. Right here. And then they break apart. These are all individually separated. Not one of them is attached. Exactly like muscle fibers. Perfectly separated. And what's happened is the separating material, the fascia or whatever, is gone between them. And you're left with petrified, fossilized, I don't know what you would call it. Let's see. Bone tuberosity right here. So what the tuberosity is a roughed part of the bone. It's rough, and what happens is the tendons attach themselves to this rough part, kind of like how a piece of glass is smooth, but a rough material is easier for adhering to. There's also more surface area because it's bumpy, and that's what all your tendons attach to, your muscles. And is that what's happening here? It's just fossilized, petrolized, and they're just lying to us, telling us this stuff, this lava right here, which I haven't seen do anything but flow. That's all it does is flow. Look at it. Is that making a hexagon? Is that making a hexagon? No, it's a river. It's a river of lava. Not one hexagon. Oh, nope, just kidding. Pretty crazy. Nope. Those are just a couple things I was looking at. I'm gonna have to look further into the muscle fiber basalt columns. It's like beginning to be my new rabbit hole. It's so interesting. It really bothers me that they claim this is lava. Just incredible. What are we in? An hour and 20 minutes? I'm probably going to go ahead and wrap this up pretty soon, within the next couple minutes here. If there isn't anything else that I missed, there isn't. I think I'm pretty satisfied with the content for tonight. I'm trying out a couple different things for the What Was That channel. A couple different structures for the channel. I don't want to go too long on one topic, so I've been breaking it up. The beginning's a little bit of news. I definitely like the weather, because that's happening all the time, and so many people are catching this crazy weather manipulation and all these crazy storms happening. And then I like to go through some various material, but the material's been NASA lately because it's just easy pickings. I mean, they don't even have to wear neck restraints, going 17,000 miles an hour. It's pretty crazy. Alright, I'd like to thank everyone for watching the What Was That channel. This is probably one of our what are we at? Fifth broadcast. I'd like to thank everyone for watching. We're slowly getting better. I'm slowly adding subscribers. I don't know if that's good, because the more I get, the more professional I will have to be. This takes a lot of time, and my hat's off to all these YouTubers that have great channels out there. The intros, the video, it's just crazy amounts of work goes into this, so my hat's off to all those people out there. And if anyone has any questions, they're more than happy to message me on YouTube here. Alright, have a good night, everyone. Thanks for watching the What Was That channel.